You can go.
Fine, now you maybe get stage fright. Okay, my name's Paul Murtha. I'm the Director of Security. Some of you guys may have met me around campus. I know it's your first semester here, right? So, so maybe not. With me today is Kelvin Valentin, one of my assistants. He handles, you know, a lot of the ins and outs of the security. So you'll be seeing him around. He's in Stranger Hall. I'm in Stranger Hall, which is right next door to us in the main security building. So our doors are open all the time. Feel free to stop in and say hello. Also with me here is Jerry Leary. He's new to the staff. Once again, he comes from the NYPD with a wealth of experience. His recent assignment was down at the 911 Museum. He had a staff of 200 security officers down there, so you know he comes with a lot of wealth, a lot of knowledge, and once again, he's here to make sure that we do the best we can to make this the safest campus in the city. My background, I'm NYPD 2, retired since 2004, and I've been doing university security since 2004, third different university I've been at. Okay, and you guys are good. I mean, it's a good school. You guys are here to study, and I know you have like a double major you have to, you know, you have to focus on. So, but I do appreciate, and a lot of you guys spend some time over in Israel too. A lot of you, you know, maybe do a tour with the Israeli military too. I know that. Anybody here from New York City? Okay, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so you guys are a little bit more familiar with the city than the rest of you guys. But active shooter, they don't care where you're from. We get shootings in major cities. We get them out in the suburbs. We just had one yesterday out in Los Angeles. Pittsburgh, of course, everybody knows what happened out there. So it doesn't matter. What does matter is knowing your campus, and we'll get into that in a minute. First slide. Okay, let me tell you a little bit about the staff here. We have about 200 security officers, and that's university-wide. Of course, everybody knows we have the girls' campus down in Burren. We have Cardozo Law School down in the Village. We also have a campus over in the Bronx, Furkoff, another graduate school of psychology. So we're spread out, but the main focus is here on Wilf and at Burren. Those are our two biggest campuses. So about 200 security officers. About 20 of those are like myself, like Mr. Leary here. We're retired NYPD, and you'll see them dressed in suit and tie. They're a little bit different from a security officer. This is a typical attire for a security officer, even though Kelvin is not a security officer anymore, he's in management, but that's the difference. You'll see suit and ties, you won't see a normal uniform, but they're there for several reasons. One, so that we have a different layer of security. We have a lot of unarmed security officers mixed in with some armed security officers. Up here in this campus here, we'll have a paid detail, which is the uniform NYPD officer. He's here in the evenings. We're going to start shifting his hours a little bit earlier now because of the daylight savings time, but he'll be around too. So these are different layers that we have for security. Of course, our unarmed security officers will do certain things differently than if you're armed. Okay, everybody kind of gets that part. Excellent relationship with the NYPD, and that's something that we constantly nurture. You know, I'm constantly reaching out to the local precinct over here. They're coming over here themselves. I met today with members of the counterterrorism unit. We're looking to, you know, we have those vehicles by our by our pedestrian plazas, a blocker vehicle is what they really are, so that nobody can make a right-hand turn and go into our plaza when you guys are, are walking there and not expecting a vehicle to be driving down the street. They're working with us so that we have some gate arms, that the only people that can get in there will be the fire department, the police department, so on and so forth. So we can move our vehicles and do a few more things with them. But we're also looking at the whole campus, what we can do to make this a little bit more secure. Just a couple of years ago, a year ago, we started putting those planters around to protect our sidewalks, in addition to our pedestrian plaza. That's in response to these ramming incidents we've had around the world. So we want to make sure that anywhere you walk on this, in this immediate campus here, you can do without worrying about getting hit by a vehicle. I think that's important. So, but we have a great relationship with NYPD, and it's only going to get better. Okay, next slide. Okay, we're going to talk. Does everybody have their phone number into YU Alert? I know we haven't run a test yet, but you should get your cell phone number into YU Alert. It's our mass communication system that if we had an emergency on campus, we're going to be texting you and giving you information about what's going on. If you're not sure, ask Jonathan Swab, and he'll make sure that we have your, especially if you got a brand new cell phone just recently, it might not be in there. I know they gathered a lot of this information when you first came in, but if you got a new cell phone or you're not sure, check with Jonathan. That's how we're going to communicate you in an emergency. Today we're going to talk about what our options are. First of all, I'm going to show you a video. This video is from Yale University. They gave us permission to show it to you guys. I thought it was a good video. We also have another one from Auburn University, but the one I'm going to show you from Yale is the one we'll talk about today. And they're going to talk about planning, evaluating information, and then making a decision, responding to something. And we'll also talk about our three options, which is run, fight, hide. Everybody's heard that expression before? Run, fight, hide?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll talk a lot about that as we go on. Let me just show you this video. It's about 7 minutes long. And if you can't see or you can't hear, just try to get a little closer.
You need to hear. So I'm going to show you a few things and give you something to think about. This is you. You're sitting with a few people, you're texting, you're working, whatever you do. In this case, you're in a common room. You're trying to get some work done. It's a normal day. This isn't something that you'd like to think about. And of course, I'm not saying this will happen, but nowadays, a mass shooting or killing spree or active shooter situation like this happens far too frequently. There are things you can do that will increase your chance of surviving, should it happen to you. Something you can do right now is plan. It's always good to be aware of your surroundings. There's an entire building around you. You're in this space all the time, so have a plan. You probably know where the outlets are to charge things, but do you know where all the exits are? Know where you can run, and know where you can hide. So in the situation in the common room, there's a lot you could have done differently if you took a few seconds to plan. You came in all the way on the other side of the room, but look around. There's an exit right behind you. And if I were you, I'd take the headphones off, or at least turn down the music. that was too close for comfort. But in this situation, you had a plan, and you evaluated your options and decided to run away. That's what we like to say. Plan, evaluate, respond. So if you can run away, that's what you do. But what if it isn't that clear? Let's say, instead of being in that big common room, you were in a small office. You have a plan already, in the sense that you know there's an exit down at the end of the hallway. If you can't run away, hide. Barricade yourself as best you can. Stay put until you get the all clear on your phone, which should be made completely silent. It's not likely that a shooter will spend time trying to get into locked rooms. Try to be as invisible and as quiet and calm as possible. Take long, deep breaths. Try your best to relax. Now, what if you're here and the guy with the gun is right here? Well, there's no trick. The only thing you can do is fight. Grab anything you can, something heavy, something sharp, and swing hard. Get the gun away from him and run away. Let's go back outside. Once you're safe, call 911. It's important to give your location first, then the description of the shooter in the situation.
My name is Sarah Parker. There's a guy inside with a gun. He's shooting people. What's he?
He's his navy blue collared shirt on, he's white, he's dark hair, he's about 6 feet tall.
Dark hair, 6 feet tall.
If you're not in immediate danger, you'll hear about what's going on pretty quickly. The Yale alert will go out. Let's say you're here.
Whoa! Confirmed reports of gunshots in or near HGS. Shelter in place. This is not a test. I wonder if you can see anything from the window. Wait. That's a bad idea. It's a horrible idea. I'm gonna go lock that door. You lock that door.
Shelter in place means just that. Stay put, lock the doors, and stay away from windows. Find a safer room if you need to. The Yale emergency alerts are updated as information is confirmed. Updates are sent even if there is no new info.
Alright, there's information and updates on this website. I think we're good here, but HGS is so close. This is freaky, man.
Did you people in this lab get the alert in here?
Yeah.
Alright, keep in mind the university is on complete lockdown. These doors are automatically locked. Please do not leave here until you get further instructions, and if you need anything, just let me know.
Okay.
You might be outside when you get the shelter-in-place message. If you're outside, get away from the affected area. Yale buildings will likely be on lockdown. If you have ID card access, you can get inside, or you can find an open business, or head to your car. Trust your judgment. At this point, police will be at the scene. Until they can give the all clear, police will sweep every room. So let's go back there.
Yeah, police, sitting right there. I'm Sergeant Keith Fuller with the Yale University Police Department, and we're conducting a room-to-room sweep. You call the Yale Police Dispatch and confirm if you'd like.
There's 2 of us in here.
Are you okay?
Yeah, we're fine.
Okay, I need you to listen to me closely. I need you to unlock the door, step back to the center of the room, and keep your hands where you see them, okay?
Okay.
Put his hands up! 1 clear.
2 clear.
Okay, are either of you injured?
No.
Okay, you sure you're okay?
Yeah.
Okay. This is what I'm gonna need you to do for me, okay? We're gonna continue our sweep. What I'm gonna need you to do is lock lock the door behind us, stay here until you hear the all clear, okay? It
Okay.
shouldn't take that long.
All
You'll
right.
be okay, all right?
All right.
Stand up. Move.
When these things happen, they happen quickly. It's pure chaos. The best advice I have is have a plan. Then figure out what to do and do it. And you gotta be quick. Plan, evaluate, respond. That's it. Thank you. Stay safe.
Okay. Now he goes to jail. Okay. All right, so we talked, you saw the video there. Most likely, if there's an active shooter incident, you're not gonna be, the shooter's not gonna be right in front of you. It's just the odds are against that happening. But there could be a shooter out on Amsterdam Avenue, it could be a shooter in another building, somewhere else on campus. So you're most likely gonna be like that one staff member or some of the students. You'll have time probably to get into a location where you can lock yourself into, shelter in place, or be able to evacuate and leave the vicinity of the scene. So really what we need you to do is start thinking in terms of coming up with this personal plan of yours. And the way you do that is you've been here for a couple months already, you're starting to know the campus, you know where your classes are, you know where your dorm is, you know where you eat at night, you know where you study at night. Each one of those locations is kind of a separate plan when you think about it. You got to know, or in each of those locations, you got to know where the emergency exits are. You got to know where they lead to. But another thing that we want you to start thinking about is, where is my best safe house or my best shelter-in location, shelter-in-place location? It could be a classroom that locks. It could be another room that locks. And we'll go over the different types of rooms we have here on campus. But start thinking about it and say, all right, I'm in the library. Where do I go? If some gunman walks through that door there, or we hear shots downstairs, or I get a text message on my phone that there's a gunman somewhere on campus, what do I do? What are my options to make sure that I can stay safe? Okay, let's go to the next slide. Once you have a plan in place, and an incident happens, it's chaos, of course. So you have to evaluate that situation and know that if you do have time, say the shooting somewhere else on campus, you have a little bit more time to evaluate it and say, all right, what is the best thing for me to do right now? If it's right in front of you, or I say out in the hallway here, we don't have as much time. So you have to evaluate that information very, very quickly and then respond. That's the last thing we want you to think about. Plan in advance. As you go to class, you go about your daily lives, just put yourself in what-if situations. Know your campus, know your buildings, know what locks, what doesn't lock, know your emergency exits. And the final thing you do, when you do get the message, or you do see the shooting, or you do hear the shooting, somebody tells you about it, is responding. Okay. So what are our options when we respond? We have basically 3 that we want you to keep in mind. And I know there's different versions of all 3, but we'll talk about each of them. But keep it in your mind, you can run, evacuate, you can hide, shelter in place basically, and you can fight as a last resort. Okay, and fighting is, you have no other option. He's right in front of you. Maybe there's a group of you. And that's, just using your whatever experience that you might have to save yourself or save others that are with you. Okay. Okay, running, evacuating. It may mean going out this door here and into the parking lot and down the street. Okay? Or it may be running to a location that we can lock. Can we lock this room right here? Can we? Not unless we have a key, right? Does everybody live in this building? Everybody lives here?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Do we know what is the safest area in this on this particular floor? Do we know that? The offices, right, perfect. There's offices on the side. During the day, they may be open. At night, they may be closed. There's a student life office. What time is that closed in the back? Right
6
about now,
o'clock.
right?
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock, so they lock that up. But if it's before 6 and we're on this floor and there's a shooting out here or a shooter walks through the store here, we can go back to that student life door, close the doors. It has a combination lock on it. Close it behind us, get everybody in there, and that's a good safe room. Okay? Any of the offices are safe. All right, but we have nowhere to go. We have an exit here, and we have to know where that leads us to. Okay? Leads us to the parking lot, and there's maybe different ways to get out of this parking lot. Every building is different. First hall, over the last couple of years, we retrofitted all the classroom locks so you can lock them from the inside. So you're in that classroom, you turn that little thumb lock, and you can lock yourselves in. One thing about an active shooter, they're not going to waste a whole lot of time getting through a locked door. If that door locks, they're going to move on and try to find an open door. They only have a couple minutes, 5 at the most, before they're going to be confronted by law enforcement. First hall, we have an armed guy across the street. I'm over in Stranger Hall. NYPD is going to be here within 2 minutes. They don't have time to, try to get into a locked or barricaded room. So if you can get yourself in a room and lock that door, you're probably in the safest situation that you could possibly be in. So think about that. If you can get out the door and run to the Bronx, run to the Bronx. Okay, I certainly think that's certainly a great option too. You might get mugged in the Bronx, but that's another story altogether. But if you can get away from the scene, absolutely, that's another good option. The last option you got is fighting. Not a good option at all, because if you're in that situation, things are not looking good. But it's better to think as a group, and certainly if, say, the shooter's in the hallway, we know he's coming through that door in 5 minutes, everybody grab a chair, and when he walks through there, just throw things at him, hit him over the head, try to get his gun away, and try to get as many people out as possible. I know it's not easy, it's not something you want to think about, but if we have 10 seconds or 30 seconds to come up with as a plan as a group, we could probably overpower this guy. He may shoot a few of us, but we may be able to overpower him. That's the last thing that we want you to think about, but you should be thinking about. Okay, what we got? All right, barricading. If the doors don't lock, and we're working our way through the university, I promise you that. There's not a week that doesn't go by that I'm not trying to get money so that we can secure all these classrooms, all these offices, all these areas like this one, Nizrash right here. We would like to be able to secure those doors in case of an emergency. But we can throw, right now we can throw all this furniture in front of that door, get away from the glass, get away from the windows, and certainly use the exit if we had to too. All right, so there's always a way. Anytime that you're going to delay that shooter, he's not going to want to climb over a bunch of furniture. He's not. He doesn't have time. He wants to get the softest targets as possible. So anything that we can do to make his job a little bit difficult, harden our target here, we're going to increase our chances of survival, enormously. Okay? All right, what else we got? Oh, locks, okay. This is what I mean by knowing your building and particular classroom. Me and Kelvin went around here, and there's at least half a dozen different kinds of locking mechanisms. So in one building, there may be a lock on the spine, similar to the button over here. Other ones will have a push button lock. Go ahead, next slide, Kelvin. Others will have the thumb locks like they have in First Hall. Some of them have a combination lock like they have down the hallway there at Student Life. And crash bars. Whenever you see a crash bar held with a strap, that means we have locked that door, but during normal everyday business, you can go in and out of that door with no problem. But if you see a strap on it, and we're going into a lockdown situation, and you want to lock yourself in, pull that strap, the locking mechanism will engage, close that door behind you, and now you're safely behind that one door. We have a lot of them downtown in Burn, not so many up here, but eventually you'll see more and more. If you see them with a strap, probably be a black strap now. They're held with Velcro, and if there's circumstances where you need to shelter in place, just pull that strap, close the door. Okay? So as you walk around,
I'm sorry, Chief. Guys, similar to this one, it's always going to be open. Right? It's always going to be open. But what you saw about when you pull the strap, it'll release this and lock. Alright? You guys saw that? Yeah. There's going to be a strap. This one not because it's an exit, but that's what you saw.
okay? A lot of those interior doors with the push bar. We have locked as many of those as we can. You'll see them as you go around the university. And they're held by straps. If there's a situation where you need to lock in, just remember to pull that strap. Close the door, make sure it's secure behind you, and you should be good to go in that one particular room. Once again, the best thing that you can do is lock yourself in somewhere. If you're in your dorm, go up to your dorm room, lock the door. Wait for the all clear on your cell phone, okay? It's really that simple, okay? If you're going to evacuate and that's your best option, you're going to run as far as you can. Keep an eye on your phone. You'll get the all clear, and then you can come back. Run to a business. Run to the 3-4 precinct. You know how to get to the 3-4 precinct from here? Just go run right up 185th Street until you see the police cars, and then you know you're there. Okay?
On Broadway?
It's a straight run. What's that?
It's on Broadway, right?
Yeah, all the way down on Broadway, all right? Everybody's in good shape here. I could walk there in 5 minutes. You guys could probably run there in 2, okay? Okay, we talked about this, work as a team if we can. It's, listen, it's, the guy comes in there with a firearm, a little bit more difficult. Comes in with a knife, definitely doable. We had an incident last year over in Gluck where a former student had an appointment to meet a rabbi over there. He came on, I think it was a Sunday morning, came in, signed in with security, gave him the name of the rabbi, walked up to the 5th floor, took out 2 knives, threatened to slash the throat of a rabbi. He backed himself into a room and locked the door. He must have went to my lecture. He knew what to do. Meanwhile, everybody else was out there exposed, but he made sure that he did lock the door behind him. This former student now walked into a classroom with about 30 students, just like you guys here, and they were given a lecture by another rabbi. He took out 2 knives and said, I could kill everybody in this room right now. And then he put the knives on a table and proceeded to started to cry. So one of the students saw what was happening, went down to the lobby. We had an armed, a retired NYPD guy at the door checking the IDs, told him what would happen. He responded up there immediately, took out his firearm, got the guy under control, cuffed him. NYPD came in a few minutes later. So it could happen, escape anybody. We've had active shooters that are members of the police department. We had active shooters that were fellow students of ours, professors of ours. You know, they come in all walks of life. So if you know something or see something or hear something, I know it's an expression, but let us know. And we can do certain things beforehand to try to prevent something like this from happening. Okay, when the police arrive, very, very important here, don't run up to the police and try to hug them, okay? Because they're carrying a gun. So if you hug them, they're going to hug you back, and they have a gun with their hand on the finger on the trigger. It could go off. All right? They're there to go towards the shooter. They're not there to help you evacuate. You know, they're going to see where you're running from, and they're going to go in that direction, and you're going to go in the opposite direction. Just show your hands. Don't carry anything that could look like a firearm. Keep your cell phone in the pocket if you can. Okay? Just make sure that you don't present yourself as a threat, because they're going in there, and their stress level is way, way up there. Okay? Their adrenaline level is way up there. So we had a situation a few years ago in another university where exactly this happened. A female ran out of a building where an active shooter was holding people hostage, ran up to the officer, and and instinctively, he went to grab her, and his firearm went off and struck her. So get out of the way, go, evacuate, try to get to a safe room, lock yourself in, let the police do what they need to do. Okay? You'll get the all clear. As quick as we can send it out, we'll get the all clear. But just keep in mind that it may be hours before you get the all clear. You saw in the video there, the cops have to go room by room, because what happens? There'll be an initial threat, and then all of a sudden social media will take over, and the rumor mill's flying around that there's a second shooter, a third shooter on campus, so on and so forth. The police will take their time. They'll go room to room to room. They'll probably knock on your room, and just like you heard them on the film there, they're going to want to go in there and make sure that nothing bad is occurring inside that room. Yes?
How are you supposed to know if the person not in the room is a cop or if he's the active shooter?
Ask them to slide their ID card under the door, or a business card. Okay? NYPD business card will have the the name of the officer that they're on. On the opposite side, there'll be like what's the watermark, an NYPD watermark. So flip it over, okay? Or you can call the security office, and it will tell you, yeah, NYPD is right outside your door right now. It's safe to open it up, okay? Everybody's got that? That's a really good question, by the way. One of the folks that were shot in an active shooter incident recently, on Pittsburgh, as a matter of fact, they opened the door prematurely, and the shooter was able to get in. They were in a safe place, okay? They panicked, they opened the door, the shooter forced their way in and was able to shoot some people in that room. So once you close that door, once you make sure that you have gotten all your classmates, or as many as possible, into that safe area, close the door. I'm sorry, I wouldn't open it up again unless I absolutely knew that it was safe outside, okay? But once again, we're not saying get into the room and lock yourself in and leave everybody out in the hallway. If you have time, get everybody in that room with you, okay? But if there's shots starting whizzing over your head, close that door and lock it, okay? Everybody's good with that? Okay, what else we got? Oh, tabletop. We're just going to go through a scenario here. I've given you all the answers already, so it should be perfect. I'm going to call on a few guys here. All right, you're at First Hall. Everybody knows where First Hall is, across the street on 185th Street. All right, you're in the third floor classroom. You receive a YU alert on your cell phone saying there's an active shooter right in the mall area, that nice pedestrian mall area. Okay. And the campus is in a lockdown, okay? what is our best option there? Yeah, what is your best option? You paying attention?
Well, if you're already inside a classroom, you might as well lock it.
Lock the classroom door. Perfect answer, right? Just about every classroom in First Hall locks with a thumb lock. Lock yourself in, get away from the windows, okay? Silence your cell phones. If you want, if you don't trust that lock, throw some furniture in front of the door too, okay? All right? Okay. All right, now you're in the hallway, waiting by the elevator. What is our best option there? Okay, now you're not in the classroom, you're in the hallway, by the elevator. What's our best option?
Either try to get into a room or try to leave the building.
Perfect. Basically, you have two options there. Get into a classroom, lock the door, make sure that your fellow classmates have cleared the hallway too, let them know. They may not have their cell phone on, okay? Let them know, hey, I just got a wire alert to the shooting right on the street here, downstairs. So let's get into a classroom and lock the door. Now, one minute, I'll get to you. Now, the other option that was brought up is evacuate, okay? Now, am I gonna get in that elevator and go down to the bottom floor? Or am I, am I gonna take the elevator at all? I wouldn't, because once you're in the elevator, you're not too sure where that door is gonna open. It may open on the second floor, the shooter may have walked in the building and may be on the second floor. So I'd be a little leery about jumping in on the elevator. So now you have stairwells, A, B, and C, right, in First Hall? So, does everybody know where A, B, and C go? Okay. You don't want that stairwell to lead you right to the mall area, correct? So you got to make sure that some of our buildings, like in Belfour Hall, some of those will lead you right to the main street. So, once again, the shooter's in the mall area, so we don't necessarily want to get to that mall area. But we may want to take those stairwells and go up to the next floor and lock ourselves into a classroom up there, okay? So you can evacuate, but make sure that that's your best option. Because eventually, with First Hall, everything will lead to the mall area. And that's where the shooter is. So we don't necessarily want to evacuate onto the mall area because there's a shooter out there, there's going to be police out there, there's going to be craziness out there. Okay, but it is an option. All right, but there's some of those exits that lead to the back. And we may get to the back patio area and may be able to, to evacuate the scene through the back. Yes?
What if you're in a locked classroom because there was a shooting and someone knocks on the door saying that they're another student or whatever, or you're like a student in the hallway and you're trying to get into the classroom but it's been unlocked?
Well, we just covered that. That's a really tough call. My recommendation is I wouldn't lock that. I wouldn't open that door unless I was 100% sure that it was safe outside. I wouldn't even open it for a police officer unless they slid their card underneath that door. That's what I would ask for.
So let's say like there's a guy, like the shooter's coming down the hall, open fast before he gets him.
Well, all right. So you open the door and the shooter now gets in and there's 30 people in there. So instead of killing one person, he's killing 30. It's a tough call. If you feel you can get him in and close that door, and and the rest of you guys are okay with that, then that's an option. But it's a tough call. And it just recently in Pittsburgh, somebody opened that door prematurely, and the shooter got in. Some of these shooters are crazy, but they're crazy smart, and they'll use that ruse to get into a room. Yes?
How does the fire alarms go off?
Fire alarms go off. Good question. Great question. You know what happened in Parkland? Everybody heard of Parkland, Florida, right? They had a school shooting down in Parkland. And this has always bothered me. It always bothered me. Because, I study this stuff a little bit. And I'm like, wow, if I was an active shooter, I'd just pull a fire alarm and let everybody, like zombies, go into the hallway. We've been doing that since we were in kindergarten, right? And that's exactly what happened. he was a student, wacko, but a student, knew the building as well as we knew it, knew what all the protocol was, knew all those classrooms in Parkland locked. They locked. They made sure they retrofitted all those locks in their classrooms so that you can lock it from the inside. Shooter knew that. Shooter knew that if he walked into that building and started shooting, everybody's going to run into classrooms and lock themselves in. Okay. So he says, you know what? We do fire alarms all the time, and he knew they were scheduled to do a fire alarm that particular day. And they actually did. They did one earlier. So he comes in, they pulls the fire alarm, everybody funnels into the hallway, everybody funnels outside. There was not one single victim of the Parkland shooting that got shot in the classroom. Not one single victim. They were all shot in the hallway or outside. Anybody that, a couple of students said, this is kind of strange. We just had a fire drill this morning. Why are we having another one this afternoon? So they started thinking a little bit, and then they heard all the commotion. They got back in the classroom and they locked the door. All right, so I know that doesn't answer your question, but just be cautious with fire drills. I'm not saying that you have to not evacuate, but if you start walking out of the building and there's other information coming your direction, like people running or people screaming, or you're getting a text message on your phone, you know what? It's time to rethink the fire drill. Unless you're burning up, unless you see a flame in front of you, get back to where you were and lock yourself in. All right? That would be my advice. All right? But it's a very good question, and it's a really difficult, because we've been trained. When the fire alarm goes off, we evacuate. I'm just telling you, when the fire alarm goes off, yeah, we have to evacuate the building, because the building may be burning down. But keep your senses going, and if anything leads you to believe that this is not what it's supposed to be, then adjust your plan and respond accordingly. Evaluate the information, evaluate. Have a plan, evaluate the information once it comes at you, and then make a decision and do something. Okay? Any other questions? Yes?
What should one do if he disarms the shooter? Should he pick up the firearm and,
if he drops the gun?
Yeah, I mean, if the gun's on the floor and the shooter's in front of you, do you pick up the gun and point it at the shooter and wait for security, or could you be mistaken as the shooter?
Well, if the gun is on the floor and he's right there, I would just, I would fight, as a group, I would try to
No, I'm
subdue
saying
him.
you and the shooter are standing in front of each other, you knock the gun at his arm, and the gun's on the floor, so your first thought is to pick it up and, point at the shooter, not to shoot, but just to hold it, but then you could be...
If you've never shot a gun before, and you're gonna pick up a gun and then try to learn how to shoot the gun, you're gonna lose that battle, I guarantee you right now.
But I just don't want to...
Get it away from him, kick it away from him, try to subdue him the best you can, try to get everybody out of the room. I mean, if the gun is here and he's over there, yeah, pick up the gun and run out the door with it, but make sure that you secure it somewhere, because you run out the door with a gun in your hand, you might get shot by cops coming in, all right? So, if you never had a gun before, don't know what to do with it, just put a garbage can over it, make sure it stays where it is, and make sure the gunman doesn't get it again. All right. Okay, what else we got? We went through go to the next slide here. If you're in your professor's office, the door locks. That's self-explanatory. We lock ourselves in. All right. You get a text message from your friend that now they hear shooting in a stairwell. Obviously, that option is not such a good idea anymore. Okay. Once again, other students are running down the stairs. The gunman is now on the 5th floor. You're on the 3rd floor. He's on the 5th floor, 3rd floor. Maybe evacuating out of the building is not such a bad idea anymore. Okay? It's an option. I'm not saying that I would leave my classroom. If I'm locked in that classroom, I'm safe and sound. The cops are gonna be there in a couple of minutes, a minute. But you're in the hallway by the elevator, and you know the shooter is above you and there's nobody below you but that door, that's an option, okay? So you have to evaluate information, and you know the building, you have a plan, make a decision and go with it, okay? All right, next one. All right, once again, know your building. Know the building. Know where every day go down a different stairwell. Know where they lead to. Know what classrooms lock, what don't lock, where your favorite professor is. You might want to make sure that all the professors and all the staff have doors that lock. Most of them from the inside or on the spine. Always a good option. Okay. Okay. All right, that's for us, that's over. Any other questions going forward? Yes?
What's the first number that you should call?
911.
And,
Okay.
and then the security number?
It's 222
Sorry?
security number.
I'm saying that then we should call the security.
Yeah, always call the security number, but yeah, 911.
What is it?
Guys, check behind your ID.
Yeah.
Number's there.
Our ID number, our 24/7 number, I don't have my glasses on, is 2200. It's,
Check your ID.
but
212.
you know what? Everybody should put that in their cell phone and make it a favorite and just put YU security. So that you have it. If you're walking from the subway and you think somebody's following you, and you don't want to call 911 because they're probably not going to respond to you anyhow. But if you're walking from the subway and come to the campus here, you call YU security and say, I'm walking down 184th Street, there's somebody following me. We're going to take a ride over there, okay? We're going to start riding in that direction. And it may turn out to be nothing, but we'll escort you back to the campus, okay? We will do that. Yes?
Why aren't all the security guards armed?
What?
Why aren't all the security guards
Armed?
Or what's the objective of
Well,
security guards?
we have security guards which have a lesser degree of training, and they perform different certifications, so on and so forth. Most of our armed folks are retired NYPD. Okay, and once you retire from the NYPD, you basically have a firearms license and you're allowed to carry concealed for the rest of your lives. So that is why security guards have to go through. It's much more of especially in New York City where firearm licenses are hard to come by. It's a lot more. Yes.
You're speaking specifically of carrying license, but is it in New York City possible to have a firearms license, or is it?
It's very hard to get a concealed license in the city of New
No,
York.
just having just a general firearm license for a handgun.
And what does that mean? We also have a policy that there's no firearms allowed on campus unless I give the approval. So if you got a license to carry a firearm, and you want to bring it to campus here, you need my approval, all right? And, okay? So. Yes, in the back.
Regarding an earlier question, if you acquire the firearm that the shooter had, are you legally allowed to shoot it?
He's just trying to shoot you, right?
Yeah.
Now, I don't think you'll be in legal jeopardy, but
No, he's not dead. You knocked it out of your hand.
listen. If the firearm ends up on the floor, and you're not dead already, you've had a pretty good day so far. So don't ruin it, all right? Just try to get out of the building or make sure that he doesn't get it again. Let it stay on the floor, all right? All right? If he drops his main threat, then I think you stand a pretty good chance of getting out of there alive, so, all right, yes.
But you can never be sure that that's their only threat. I mean, you just gave the example of a person wielding 2 knives.
Right, absolutely.
If you want to be sure, you can just throw a chair on top of them, fight.
Yeah,
Just
listen,
run.
you got my permission to beat the living daylights out of the guy,
There's
whatever
always
ever it needs, you know, and I'll go to court and I'll testify that I told you that, okay? Don't worry about
There's
it.
always
Listen,
lawsuits.
guys, know your school, know what rooms you can lock yourself in, okay? Know your emergency exits, know how to get out of a building in a hurry. The third option, fighting the guy, don't worry about it so much, all right? You know, if that time comes, you'll do the best you can. But the first 2 things is what you should really be focusing on. You know, where's my safe house? Where are my evacuation routes? Okay? Yes?
What are your thoughts on pepper spray?
It works sometimes it doesn't work.
Obviously, as a last resort.
Hey, listen. I'm not here to say yes or no, okay? Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, all right? So, I'll leave it at that, okay? Thanks.